Hey guys, what's going on? It's Rekt Capital and welcome back to the Rekt Capital channel. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video update about a potential massive head and shoulders forming on Bitcoin's price action right now. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future and let's dive right into it. Is this bearish trend reversal formation forming on Bitcoin right now? What's the most important part about the head and shoulders is that we have a left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder. And to that as well, we have a neckline. But of course, this is a very important neckline because we're seeing a macro higher low. So typically you can sometimes see horizontal necklines, but in this instance, if you want to consider a head and shoulders, this higher low would be that neckline. And of course, this is a very important higher low because it showcases premium buying, a premium buying mentality compared to earlier this year. So people were buying at the candle bottoms right over here at around 32,000, whereas here at the candle bottoms we're seeing 35,000. So already a premium buying mindset in the buyers relative to this period in early 2021. And this premium buying mindset is also going back a few weeks. So we're seeing a few higher lows already. But if you want to think about the head and shoulders, this would be the neckline. And if we break down from there, then we'd see a corrective period for Bitcoin, that massive breakdown. But is this really a head and shoulders? Because if we just look at the typical classic head and shoulders, you can see that the left and the right shoulders are approximately equal. And in this case, well, there are many things to talk about in general, but this left shoulder itself is nowhere near the highs of the head. So if you look at this schematic once again, the shoulder of course has to have that lower high relative to the head. But we can't be in a period where this is barely a shoulder to begin with. It's extremely, it's very much so low compared to this head. And when we consider this right shoulder, well, we don't even have any candle bodies to actually build that shoulder. So comparing this to a classic head and shoulders, you can see what a far cry this price action is. Trying to conceptualize this price action as a head and shoulders. The left and the right shoulder, well, the right shoulder itself hasn't even formulated yet, and the left shoulder is itself very, very low compared to the highs of the head. And the head itself should be a more volatile V-shaped formation towards the downside, much like the shoulders themselves, whereas the head was a 3-month long distribution range, and many can think of it as a Wyckoff distribution range, something I spoke about in previous videos. So you're seeing that on accounts of the left shoulder, on accounts of the head, and on the accounts of the right shoulder, in every part of this formation, or at least a price action for Bitcoin, there's something wrong with thinking about it through the lens of the head and shoulder. Just very, very different to a classical theoretical head and shoulder. And that's not all. That's not all, because we also, aside from the structural elements of the head and shoulder, the volume profile itself, although it was okay to a certain point, you're seeing that the volume profile itself has to be the highest in the left shoulder, and of course we get that right over here. And then we see once the head forms, that volume profile, or at least that sell side volume bar, is higher compared to the other ones, but still lower than this head and shoulder. So essentially speaking, in the left shoulder you have the most volume. The head then forms on high volume as well, but the volume bar itself has to be lower than this one. And the right shoulder has to have as well a high amount of volume, but has to be lower than the previous volume bars. So in any case, you're seeing a declining tendency here. But then you see a total breakout in the volume, which goes against this declining tendency, which needs to be associated with the formations in of themselves. But let's go back to this volume bar breakout when it comes to forming the head. Of course, this would be correct if the head was a V-shaped like head, like over here. But over here, you're seeing, okay, the volume bar is theoretically correct, but you're seeing that the head is nowhere close to being a V-shaped head. It's actually a 3-month distribution range. So in summary, there are many things wrong with this head and shoulder. This left shoulder isn't as high as the head. The head itself is a 3-month distribution range instead of a V-shaped reversal. The right shoulder hasn't even printed full candle bodies and is not even similar to this left shoulder in terms of those candle bodies. And of course, it's also not as high at higher price levels. In any case, you're also seeing problems with the volume declining, yes, but there has been a breakout on volume, lots of volume here that's going against this declining tendency. So in any case, you're seeing that this is of course the major resistance Bitcoin needs to break, and this is the range low of this overall macro consolidation range. So this is where we need to be looking for in terms of breaks. Break back here, that's going to be a breakout towards the upside. We can become a bit more bullish here, and breaking down from here, then we'll have a long term, we'll have a long way, to go in terms of downside. But at the moment, this is just macro consolidation. And when we just, that last note about the head and shoulders, on May 30th, I mentioned that overall, if we just focus on this head and shoulders, it seems to be too obvious. Even though there are many problems with its structural elements, many people would be able to see this, and it's just too obvious to play out, even if it were correct structurally, even if it were correct on the volume profile. But like we discussed in today's video, there are many things wrong with trying to associate Bitcoin's current price action with this classic head and shoulders formation. You see that's quite a far cry away. And instead of focusing on the head and shoulders, it would be better to pay attention to key levels right over here and over here as well, because we are currently in macro consolidation and we're just waiting for that confirmation of the final trend. But nonetheless, we are still at a macro higher low, and I think this macro higher low, if it's lost, then we can get a bit more bearish about price action. But until then, there is still a chance that Bitcoin will be able to reverse from here and challenge for this 38k region. There are lower highs here for 3 weeks running, but at the same time, we're seeing a higher low here compared to this low. So we are going to see compression over here before we see a major trend. In any case, guys, I hope this video was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to leave a like if you did. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. I'm Rekt Capital, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Speak to you soon.